exactly how they opened up the tournament.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. What a way to start the tournament.
Team fights everywhere.
Oh my God.
I've never seen so many team fights and so close team fights. It's insane.
Spawn comes in and just undercuts off. Oh, I've seen things
this is such a back and forth game, and I want to just, in the pre-game we were talking about, you know, RNG is a team that loves to fight. We're like, but they have a long game time. That's why they lose fights as well. Doesn't mean they're going to back away from them, and they went blow for blow. More impressively, CLG went with them.
Every stage of this game was crazy. The picks and bans right off the beginning, then into the lane swap as well. RNG starting off the lane swap and going toe-to-toe with CLG.
Let's talk
fights,
picks and bans first then. Let's get right into it. So the big things that jump out at me, of course, Aurelion Soul, but also Twitch Thresh bans coming out from CLG on the red side.
And let's talk about that a little bit. Mata had a great game on Thresh versus EDG. He was picking deft mid-team fight time and time again, and they did show that they can play the Twitch phenomenally. In saying that, I think that is a case of over-respecting niche picks, as opposed to just taking away what is strong right now, and that is Xiaohu's Azir.
Especially also because it was clear CLG came in with a plan. They gave away so many comfort picks to then pick this, what should we call it, zone control composition with like Braum multi, smoke screen, siege combat at the same time, right? The traps coming up from Caitlyn, and then of course Huhi and the CC he provides with the long range, with the massive bomb coming in. I'm surprised they value Thresh above Alistar then. That to me is like, we're afraid of the 2v2 lane potentially, but I would much rather play against Thresh with a siege comp than Alistar.
Mata had so many game-changing, the game changed many times there, but a lot of the Alistar initiations were key.
And a lot of it is how quickly the Azir follows up. Sure, the Alistar initiation is great, but you have to be able to get in there on top of him and help him out, otherwise he just gets blown up. And Xiaohu, you could count so many times in that game. As soon as Mata goes, Xiaohu is right behind him.
I think what's evidenced in this game, though, is how close these teams were. And we were talking about at the beginning of the day. We've got these 4 teams that we suspect will be right in the middle of the pack, and they're going to be, you know, jockeying for position this entire time. That's exactly what happened within this singular game. But I want to return to your point, Vishu, about CLG's composition, because I want to kind of get it out there, what these two compositions are intending to do before we get into the actual gameplay of it. So with the zone control, we saw a successful fight around 26 minutes with CLG coming out 4-for-1 in the mid lane plus a Baron.
Yeah, basically CLG's comp is extremely good when teams are engaging on them. And you can like kite backwards with Braum in there, with smoke screen again, with, of course, Huhi with the extra CC.
Caitlyn traps, like the main thing about...
And you have to run through traps,
Caitlyn keeps getting picked, yet the teams that have the Caitlyn are not ending the game with traps where the enemy has to force on them.
But like, look at this fight, first of all. This is what RNG, again, the good things and bad things about RNG. They like to fight, but right here, Xiaohu and Azir, the strongest member, is not even there yet, and missing ulti from Lupo. And now the problem is you have to run at CLG through traps, poor engage from Mata. They're only poor engage at the entire game, and suddenly this massive like zone control comp has been set up. And look at that stun coming in from Huhi right here. And this is what happens when you're forced to running at them.
Also, multiple times we'll see Wuxx dash forward with Lucian and get hit by the stars of Aurelion Soul. Wuxx is definitely not used to playing versus Aurelion Soul.
I wrote right here in the middle of the game, Stixxay greater than Wuxx.
Oh,
and then the last team fight,
the other way.
Wuxx is the man getting the quadra kill, and Stixxay also dying, got caught out a few times.
There were so many team fights determined by each team's AD carry actually getting caught out. Stixxay had multiple team fights where, you know, he got a little bit too far forward at the tower and it cost CLG. Wuxx also made a lot of crucial.
We're going to have an opportunity to talk a little bit more, but before we do that, we're going to go and check in with Shocks for a word with Royal's man in the mid lane.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dash. Joined here by Xiaohu in that mid lane, and my Wenson assisting us for the translation. First up, congratulations is in order. What a game. Mata, your teammate, talked about how important it was to get the first win here, but it turned out to be an incredibly close game. Talk to me about your experience in that game 1 versus CLG.
首先呢，就是非常恭喜你们获得了这场比赛胜利。然后呢 ，Mata 在开赛前说到了第一场比赛的胜利对你们意义重大，可以鼓舞你们的士气。然后这场比赛呢，其实打得非常接近。然后想听一下你现在对这场比赛的看法，然后获得胜利的看法。
因为这是开幕赛嘛，第一把比赛，然后刚才打得特别惊险，有好几波都团输了嘛，不过最后还是赢了，就赢得这场比赛，对我们士气鼓励特别大。后边的比赛应该也会表现得更好。
So they think this game is really close. They lost multiple team fights, and it just won at the very last team fight. And so they're very happy that they're able to pull out, and they think it's going to be a huge boost to their performances and I guess their attitude. And in the future games, I think they can be performing better.
All right.
Yeah.
One special thing in this was, of course, that the Aurelion Sol came out in the very first game. How much did that throw off your strategy, and how did you have to adapt to play versus that champion?
所以说呢，这场比赛呢，第一次出现了祝星龙王。然后你觉得祝星龙王的出现对你们比赛有没有什么的影响？对你们的战术啊，对你们的选择，对你们怎么应对？你有没有什么特别想说的？因为这英雄的出现。
因为我们之前训练赛，不管训练赛还是单排都没有碰到过这个英雄嘛。然后我们前期，包括我在对线上还有打团上，我们都吃了点亏。我打到后边基本上就了解这个英雄了嘛，然后觉得他这个英雄他玩的也不是特别好，就。
Well, he never played against Aurelion Sol in solo queue or in scrims, so they were really thrown off by this pick, and they had a very hard time adapting to it in the early game, in the laning phase, as well as in the team fight. But moving on to the game, he felt like, hey, they're more used to the champion, and he doesn't think that Huhi played that champion extra well, so he think. That's why they might be able to win the game.
Okay,
yeah.
An extra factor in getting that momentum, overcoming that new pick. You talked about momentum a lot, and when you guys exited the stage, this was some of the loudest cheers I have ever heard for RNG, RNG. You're playing here on your home turf. How important is it then for you to make a good impression here and to maybe take the title home?
就是说呢，当你们今天获得比赛胜利、离开比赛的时候，我们听到了现场特别热烈的 RNG 的欢呼声。然后想问一下你们对于这个现场的玩家们对你们的鼓励，是不是对你们有很大的帮助？然后你觉得这个现场怎么样？
因为这次是在上海办的嘛，所以中国人比较多。然后打完比赛听到他们就大呼 RNG 嘛，觉得特别震撼，然后也特别开心吧。觉得这次场馆就我第一次来这么大的场馆吧，第一次在这么大的场馆打比赛。
Okay, so this is they actually played again in Shanghai, so he's really happy, and he thanks so much for the crowd to support them, and he's really happy hearing the RNG chant after the game, which is really motivates them. And this is actually the biggest stadium he ever played in, so he's super excited about that as well.
Yeah, fantastic to start out with a win for them. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Xiaohu, and good luck in the rest of the tournament. Now back over to you guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Shock. Xiaohu and the rest of RNG going to be very happy to pick up that first win of the tournament, starting off on the right foot, even if it was a back-and-forth game, not, you know, a very decisive victory.
And I think that actually gives a lot of credit to CLG, because we knew they were a smart team, but can they get scrappy? Can they get down and dirty? And I think that game actually proved they can. And I don't know if their team comp was all that good in team fighting. They were great in laning team fighting, but if they didn't get set up right...
I was so surprised that they went for the initiation there. Like I said, they have the Caitlyn traps and the...
Right, yeah, they could have positioned back towards the Baron and actually forced the engage on them as opposed to Maokai going in on his own.
But again, that's one of the beautiful things, because it's so easy for us to sit up here.
Very much.
Look at them being in game here. Of course, you just let them engage, you kite back. When you're sitting there, you know, the crowd is going crazy around you, and there's been so many fights, you feel like, okay, we can still win this one, we can still take the fight.
Right.
Because they won games where they engaged.
Let's take a look at that fight. We've got it, so we're going to pull it up on your screens right now. Darshan feeling the need to start this fight for whatever reason here in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I said as soon as the Lucian got the IE, he would just melt, and that's exactly what happens. They pick him up, and then Mata goes, and Xiaohu follows. It's actually Lupa, and Xiaohu follows.
Well, he actually didn't have his ultimate on when he initiated that, right?
Yeah,
so you're missing out on a huge part of Maokai's kick. No ultimate, and they just...
With a very good amount of CC that actually prevented him from getting that ultimate on as he engaged.
And also just a poor target choice. With the engage in itself, it was more or less a team yelling, go, 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 and just picking the first target you can. And it happened a few times in the game where they didn't manage to get a squishy target with the Maokai, even though they TP'd in and locking up the Poppy or the Alistar.
Yeah.
So there were a few problems in that case for CLG, but overall, both teams made mistakes, but also both teams had great team fights. Fantastic individual plays from like Mata multiple times as well.
As well as from Xiaohu, we saw some huge Azir plays that saved certain fights.
And I really want to point this out. He is so good on Azir. Like, this is
I think we got that one.
The reason I want to point it out is because when he came into the scene, he was an assassin player, and then he picked up Azir as well as Xerath. Xerath's obviously gone.
And Azir is now by far his most played, right?
That is the only control mage that he really has left. Otherwise, he is an assassin player. So I just don't understand with this Siege comp why you would leave up something that just absolutely, like, it gets rid of the Maokai. We saw it time and time again, prevents flanks. That was the only thing that I can fault about that game for CLG.
And this is where, as we look forward into the tournament, Jack kind of mentioned it already, CLG showing their hand in game one of the tournament and not coming away with the win. What does that do to them?
First of all, we don't know if this is all they got.
True, very true, very true.
NA tends to have some special strategies when they come into international tournaments.
There's only one new champion that's available now. So
that's true,
they
no
know that
yet. But, I mean, again, the reason they give so many comfort picks was because they had that clear strategy. They wanted to play this mid lane matchup specifically and then have this comp where you have to run at them, because Azir is not great when he's having to, like, run towards people. So clearly that was the plan, and it almost worked for them. And had they won the game, we would have said that was such a smart pick and ban phase.
It almost works, but the hometown team gets the first win of the day. We're one game in, but there's so much more coming your way. When we return, it's Europe's G2 Esports versus the LMS's Flash Wolves. Stay tuned.
Holy.
Killed Huhi, he's down, double kill for Wuxx, and CLG are punished. Very good stun for Counter Logic Gaming, a double kill for Stixxay. He manages to 90 caliber net, finds the triple, looking for the quadra. Xiaohu's running for his life.
Azir! Nidalee, I ulted Azir, I ulted Azir. Too far from me. I ulted Azir. Poppy. I'm looking, I ulted Azir. Lucian. Azir. Come in.
It's so much damage. The hammer sends him for his life and the kill secured. Stixxay's running. Royal never give up. They haven't give up. They've got themselves a double. That's a triple kill for Wuxx. Counter Logic Gaming. They thought they had position. Pull together and take the game. And Royal never gave up. Striking first in Shanghai and the MSI.